I have allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. First up this evening, department head updates. Chief Lynn.
I just a short. List. Last month we did 52 911 calls, 99 transfers for a total of 151. Year to date. 220 911 calls, 374 transfers for a total of 594. Last year we did in April 43 911 calls, 101 transfers for a total of 142. Year to date. Year to date last year was 228 911s, 429 transfers for a total of 657. We had a better month last month than we had. And we started taking trips out of AVH, and all my staff is, Scott recruiters back, so he was out sick for a couple of weeks plus, for a total of 5 months, which that hurt us quite a bit. And 111 transfer requests. Turned down 12 due to staffing, and those were like out of college, North Conway. Believe it or not, we get requests from Claremont, New Hampshire. That's how bad things are on the tunnel transfer stuff. All the fire trucks in working order. I didn't put down here, but we're having our air packs tested tomorrow, which have to be done yearly. We did have an ambulance that broke down in Dartmouth last week, which we had to have it towed back up to the Ford garage. That is just waiting for a part, and we're hoping it's covered because they replaced the same part. About 6 pounds. It's a sensor. And the mileage is on the back, and Chris is on vacation, so I didn't have his report. Thank you.
You guys have questions, David?
Randy, how is the ambulance doing with that we replaced the engine and the transmission? That's all. Okay. Right. The only problem we have with it right now is that we don't have air conditioning in the back. They're gonna be able to, it's hard to get somebody to work on that because finding somebody like the Ford garage, because it's part of the ambulance, separate from the truck. So they're supposed to come out and set up. It's not really it's a big deal to cover. What kind of mileage have you put on roughly, or total century? Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Smart move. Yeah. Gotta save the pounds of money. Yeah, and the body stays solid. It continues, yep. We get a little tweak on the back door that Alex found the body shop is gonna weld up, and we're good to go. Good.
That's by far the most minor for.
Yeah,
The one that broke down.
that was A5. That's the one we. Okay. Gone through 2, is it small air quality sensors? No, air quality sensor, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
No, I can't. Not yet. I bring it from Corral.
Thank you, Barbara.
We are discovering that our building is coming on 30 years. And 30 years means some issues for repair. Last year, we put a new burner on the furnace and the other parts of the furnace seems to be doing fine. We had some fire calls, which as far as we can tell, have to do with the fact that all of our smoke alarms, which are warranty for 10 years, are now getting pushed to 30 and need to be replaced. That we're going to be able to replace within our budget. The elevator had only its second emergency call in its lifetime, and I do not yet have the invoice for that. I'm hoping that it's not going to be too bad. The coffee machine, which is constantly being used, is so old that we could not even get a service contract for it. We were able to talk to Linda's office supply and have what looks like a machine that takes 10 years. Thing that we're looking at when the trustees have okay, probably 2/3 of our capital reserve fund is upgrading the controllers that handle the heating and the cooling for our system. The ones we have now cannot be upgraded any longer. If there were to be a problem, finding parts for the system could be an issue, and we don't want that to happen, particularly in the winter time. It's nice to have the cooling, but in the winter, so they have authorized control technologies to handle the system to replace the controllers. And that's coming in at a figure of about $68,000, which we have in capital reserve, and we'll have to use for that. And that, most of our, most of the rest of the building seems to be hanging on. Our summer programs in good shape. We have something 5 days a week, all for kids. Kind of several activities a day. And I think that's in order. Mr. Barbara? No, thank you, Barbara.
Maggie is, the auditors have been here all day, so she's busy doing the manifest. She should be in later. You'll see Chief Woodworth's report is before you this evening. Some comments is that Rose is in week 3 of the academy. All is going well. Klebler has been hired. He has completed his admin onboarding and starts field training on Wednesday, May 20th. I still have one open position to fill. We'll post that this week. New printers and base stands have been installed in the cruisers for the MDTs that we received through a grant. Waiting on the MDTs to arrive any day now. They're basically plug and play. So when we get them, they'll just be able to put it right into the cruiser now that the stands are. And they've also been working to update their policies, their SOPs, and they received those today. So they'll be distributed to all PD employees. They'll be, everyone will read through them and do sign offs that they read and understand their policies. I will get a copy. I have the previous one, so I'll be receiving the new ones as well. From Eli, there is a gear shed donation by Ahead and kind of facilitated through the Community Builders Hub. This is for their gear that they received at a function this winter. Anticipate placing it near the basketball court. We'll have kind of carte blanche authority to lock it and secure it and so on and so forth. So I'll be working with them to facilitate the process. It's underneath your thresholds for any public hearing.
What's the ballpark date of?
Not sure. They did have all-star tryouts this weekend. They do have plenty of lifeguards and baseball and softball seasons going. Safe haven registration is what's open. So that's it this evening for department head updates. There are no appointments this evening, no public hearings. Next up is the review of the May 4th, 2026 work session minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve. I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It passes. Next up is the May 4th, 2026 regular meeting minutes.
Make a motion to approve as presented. I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. And next up is the May 4th, 2026 non-public meeting minutes.
Motion to approve. No.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. For review of minutes, next up is sign various paperwork. We have an intent to excavate for Peckham, tax map R01, lot 6 and 21. Under new business number 1, we have an abatement request for Glidden, tax map R17, lots 43 through 132. To the attention of the Lancaster, New Hampshire Select Board members, Dana and Corinne Glidden of Whitefield are formally requesting the abatement of taxes on the second half of 2025 tax season for a camper, lot 43, that was formerly at 132 Rogers Campground Road in Lancaster. As of August 4th, 2025, said camper was registered in Whitefield on, said camper was also pulled the first weekend of September 2025, never to return to Rogers Campground. So this would be an abatement of $403.
Have the registration on.
Yeah.
Make a motion to approve the abatement. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So next up, some fun business. We have,
Do we need to do the mortgage this year?
no, because we are actually striking that till it's actually paid off. Top dog raffle drawing. So to encourage residents to register their dogs on time, for the second year in a row, Charity has pulled together the top dog. So Madam Chair, if you'd like to pick a number between 4 and 416, that will be our winner. 56. She's very quick with that.
All right.
She'd been studying.
It wasn't math.
She was studying up. Do you like that number? All right, so license number 56 is Anna. So we'll be calling Anna's owner and let her know she's the top job.
I hope you enjoy this. We're glad you like this.
All right, so new business, other business, we'd like to make mention of the Dow and Smith questions. Received for Mr. Christie.
Right, so I think you guys remember that, I don't know if it was last meeting or the meeting before, Rob came in, presented where the Smith Fund was with, trying to, see if they could secure some money back to the town of Lancaster. He was requesting our, support in taking money from our, legal fund to assist their efforts. I think it's important that we make a decision on that so they can either move forward or, figure out what they're going to do.
That's all I'm saying. Here,
3 minutes.
no problem. First of all,
Sorry about
and bottleneck is having funds available, and I understand the legal fund is pretty clogged up. So Emmett Smith determined that we could legally advance some money to get the thing started. We have done that. We spent 5,000, then authorized another 2 more hours. So we're probably about 6,000 into it. I got a call from the firm the other day, and they said, would you like us to close the account out, or what's the deal? And I asked them to keep it open and to send us a bill for what they had spent now and go from there. Essentially, the first firm in Lebanon, basically, I think was preparing us for the complications of what it might be like. But the second guy at Hastings, who's had main license and can actually participate in this legally, his basic idea is we write a letter and say, before we get into the legal entanglements, we write a letter and we basically say, you people showed up at the town of Ruth Bay Harbor and told everybody at the select board meeting that you were closing the hospital. Will says if the hospital closes, the money goes to Lancaster. And what do you think? And I think the 3 parties to talk to are that hospital itself, but the primary decision will be by the judge at the probate court, because that's who administers this. And then we also need to communicate with the trustees who are in Rhode Island somewhere. So to rehearse it, there's maybe $350,000. The corpus itself, and it hatches between $17,000 and $25,000 a year, comes into 2 payments. It looks pretty much. I think it was very hard for them to argue that the hospital was still open. They made a sleight of hand transfer. They moved the license from Booth Bay when they closed the building, took it up to Denver, Scotta. And the whole deal, I found out, is it's a critical access hospital license. Critical access hospitals get another 1% a year on the reimbursement. I'm sure that helps us with weeks. So they have motivations, but they did a lot of manipulations, which are documented in their tax returns to get this done. So I think we have a shot at writing a letter or 2 and perhaps precipitating some action. And I think that what we would depend on would be the judge basically saying, oh, look at that. They closed in 2013 and the money's supposed to be going to Lancaster. So as far as funding is concerned, it just occurred to me right now that we authorized legal fees out of the Emmett Smith Fund because Emmett Smith's charter is for charity, and Emmett Smith is named as the people to take over the Dow money when it comes. But we limited it because we felt like it was really the town's deal. It would be possible now, when Fairtown opened in the beginning, there was money in the trust.
3 minutes, wrap up.
Okay, I'm doing it. So Coloneltown did not actually have the money at Lancaster. It was still in the trust. So they made a note between the Coloneltown Fund and the trust. And so I'm thinking that perhaps Emmett Smith could advance more money
to work on this problem, if it seemed like a reasonable thing to you, in exchange for a note, so that if we realized any money from our efforts, then it could be repaid to the Emmett Smith Fund. The whole idea is to try to get money wherever we can, except from property taxes, to help ease it. So that's why we're doing it. And any questions from anybody wondering about?
You stated, the last time you were here that you got an opinion of an attorney after spending pretty nearly $8,000, that it should be a higher pot of money to go after rather.
Well, I'm not here, don't hear very well, so I think what you're referring to is the fact that I said that the lawyer in New Hampshire wasn't very excited about it because it was 350, not 350 million.
And you've already spent a pretty nearly $8,000.
We spent 5,000 and
you
the
still
bill,
haven't got your bill yet. So,
the bill will be probably, I think, 7 or 8. And
okay, so we're under 7,500. Okay,
yes, that sounds like a good estimate. So the question is, if we write a letter and we get something, that's a good deal. But I don't think any of us think that it's a good idea to wade into some long technical legal battle. That kind of thing,
Rob, since you're asking for support, I'm thinking Emmett Smith doesn't want to take it just this next step and fund the letter writing and get to that point.
So the status at Emmett Smith is we agreed that this was a reasonable spending of our money to advance the state, the welfare of the people. We did the same thing that you do in that when you guys have something that needs to be done, you delegate it to the town manager to execute things and make decisions. And we made that motion so that one or several of us could act, provided that we came back in and reported it when we have an official meeting to get over that 91A stuff. So, and I haven't talked with the other 2 people, but it just occurs to me that we've got money sitting there that's doing nothing. It's not helping the indigent in town. And so this would be an appropriate way. And the ultimate goal was if we got $25,000 or $30,000 in, and then we could help fund Jessica's welfare budget, that would take some burden off the taxpayers. And that's what I'm doing, looking at places other than the tax. Because 60% of Lancaster's fines comes from not property taxes. So anything we can do would be good.
Did you want to?
just want to make sure I'm understanding what you're saying, and is that the fund is willing to fund this and up until the point that we actually get funds back, and then you would expect reimbursement.
Right, I just thought of this as it was coming up here, and so if the problem is you can't get money into your legal budget because it's already passed, and I know most of it's already earmarked, then maybe one course of action, which has a precedent in Lancaster history, would be for us from Emmett Smith, advance some money in return for a note that this
Promissory note.
yeah, to have formal documents so that, there's no unclarity about it.
All right, so I get that, but I want complete buy-in from the committee, from an official meeting minutes, that they would be willing to accept that.
Right.
And that part of that agreement would also be if they expend $100,000 and get nothing in return,
Well, I don't
the
think.
town is not, well, I'm just
Yeah,
giving
right.
an example. The town is not on the hook unless the town actually receives money. So that would need to be the clarification from the whole.
Well, they want to limit what we're disclosing.
Right, I think.
Yes,
Do we want to have prior to?
and I agree with that, but
Right,
we can't even go there unless we have the buy-in from the committee.
exactly, and so one of the other things is that we did this and hired a lawyer because the town's attorney said he wasn't willing to do it for Emmett Smith in case there was a conflict between the town and stuff. So that's why we have an outside firm. Now, he actually referred us to the main attorney and stuff, so it's not like he's mad at us, but our idea was if we found something that was worth pursuing, then it would be appropriate for the town to take over the rest of the process. In other words, rather than Emmett Smith trying to prosecute this whole thing, would be to turn it over to the town attorney. Now, you had asked me to send you the letters from DRM and from Hastings, and I've sent them to you. And so I think the next move, if we were to go forward, would be for Jason Dennis at Hastings to write sort of a demand letter or whatever. And then the idea is to get the facts out there in front of the people who actually make these decisions.
And I'll go back to my question. Is that an expense the Emmett Smith Fund is willing to take on, this one demand letter? One more demand letter.
I just brought the idea up. Technically, we have another $3,000 that we have authorized that we could spend. But our intent was not to fund a legal battle. Our intent was to put seed money in there because we felt, after looking at it, this is money that's owed to the town. It ought to be coming to the town. The corpus ought to be coming to the trustees of the trust fund and everything. But it won't happen unless somebody does something. And frankly, we thought maybe when we started this, the town's attorney would, oh, sure, I'll get that and we'll get right on it. But we didn't have money to pay the town's attorney. And
Nor do we.
right, and the reason that we hustled it, the reason that we wanted to hustle was we hoped this all to be resolved by the beginning of the budget cycle. So that when we went to town meeting, we would already know. And anything we do now takes another year to get done because we'll do warrant articles and all that other stuff. So that's what we're trying to do, is help it go along because you guys are busy enough without too many contingencies. So I guess, in the best of all possible worlds, I would, if it was me, I would take those letters and go to your town attorney. And
Okay, or just needs to say, I feel like we have no money. I'm very excited about this possibility, but I can't in good conscience say we'll give you a promissory note. We have real current legal expenses
Yes.
for fights that currently exist. And to consider the possibility of taking on another one is, I can't in good faith do that, regardless of the possibility that there's a win.
Right.
I feel like you told us you have money set aside that you could put towards the next step. I'm asking you if you could take the next step and see what the demand letter results in.
right, you're bringing up a good point. So if you don't have a budget for it, can you even issue a promissory note? I don't know the answer to these sorts of things.
That in itself would be a legal question that I don't think.
Right, so
Unfortunately, because can we bind the town or a future select board to repay a payment?
Probably debt, probably has to go to the town meeting.
well, this is, you have to look at the purchase.
Like I said, I'm not totally opposed to it, but the first thing we have to have is an actual buy-in from the whole committee saying, okay, we're willing to expend X number of dollars if the town will say they will give that money if we get something in return. But they also have to understand that if we get nothing in return, the town's not going to pay them anything.
So maybe if the committee reserved the right to finally authorize writing a check, which we have to do anyway, right? So if it looked like, so the committee could say, okay, if it's another 2,000, we're willing to do that. But if it's another 10,000, maybe we're not going to do it. We'll just let the whole thing go.
Yes, I mean, comes a time where you need an opinion somewhere.
Yeah.
You've already spent a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
And you've got nothing.
Well, we have, what we have from.
You got
Demand letter.
It was a demand letter.
Next
You
step.
see where that goes. You already said you had $3,000. Right? appropriate,
Right.
right?
And the result, we did that,
Expire, use all that money.
Right.
And come see us, and then maybe you might have positive road to that money. At this time, you have no positive road to that money.
well, we have an opinion from PRM that said basically this is a Maine matter and I'm not from Maine, so you'll have to do this. And the Maine guy says, and you may have seen it in the alternative, he doesn't disagree with the other guy, but he says you can write a letter and see what comes out, because that might possibly, the judge might say, hey, you know, St. Andrews, you don't even exist and you've taken in 10 years worth of money in Lancaster.
I would suggest they go back to,
Yeah.
spend their appropriation without.
Yeah, and like I said, I think we have to have buy-in. I understand you come up with this idea, but we have to have buy-in from the whole committee with minutes and everything else before we can proceed.
And we do have minutes this far. So, and we recognize, as you do, that this is important to be documented, especially since, you know, it's unusual. But what we're trying to do here is look under every rock and bush and see where there's more money, because if there is, Lancaster deserves it.
Yep.
Right.
Thank you for trying to seek out other than taxpayer dollars. Go back to your committee and we'll see what happens next.
So, if I might just summarize, your feeling is that I should go to the committee and get the committee's assurance that we're willing to spend the rest of the money that we've authorized to write the letter, have Hastings write the letter to whomever.
It's a reasonable next step. Yes.
Yeah. So, and now I feel good because I got the sense that you're not opposed to pursuing this. You're not wanting to throw money out over wild opportunities, but at the same time, we think it's okay for us to do it, right?
The demand letter is a prudent next step. Yes.
Yeah.
Follow what your attorney said.
Okay. Now, do we need a motion from you about that?
No, we can't.
That's your-
Committee.
We have nothing to do with what the actions you guys take.
Committee.
Okay. Because our whole thing is, we're doing this on behalf of the town of Lancaster, and I don't see a problem with it, but there you go.
You can always have us copied on correspondence if you wanted to make sure the town was looped in.
Oh, we will from now on, yes. I mean, we were hoping to hand it over to, what did they Bolt, Chris Bolt from Washington. That didn't work.
Thank you, Rob.
And I have 3 other hats to report briefly on, but I will do that at the public meeting. Thank you.
That's appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. For old business this evening, the 2026 deeding for deed waivers.
You guys have your document? Okay, your first item on it?
Seven Stone Street LLC, looks like they basically agreeing with keeping up with their agreement. Yes. Make a motion to waive that. I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And number 2?
No guarantee on that one. Number 2, I would make a motion to deed on the date that it is due. I'll second that.
Any discussion? And over?
Aye.
Number 3.
This is a camper.
There doesn't look like any data information on this.
We have not heard anything from this person. It's one of the mobile home, park model, mobile home, yeah.
Have we waived this one prior?
I don't believe so. I think this is the first time he's appeared.
I will make a motion to. The deed.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Oh, Next item,
Number 4,
Make a motion to deed that. I will second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Number 5,
I will also make a motion to deed that. I will second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. 6 to be deeded as well. I will second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Basically, we're people to do it.
Yeah.
No, one that point.
Jerry, you got shot, no action items?
Yes, I didn't even send a notice. Yeah, I can't legally.
Thank you. Okay, top of page 3.
the 17.
Nine.
That seems to be an ongoing thing from last year. Are they current with their current agreement? Have we tried to up the agreement? No.
No, it's still being paid more than what the interest is accruing.
Make a motion to wait. Second
Any discussion? All in favor?
it. Aye.
Okay. Number 10.
And this one here is another one of those at Rogers Campground.
Mm-hmm.
So like this one we have. Waited prior, so we would have, yeah. Make a motion to waive. No, second for this year.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. This is another one. This is,
No. Well,
when it's talking about being pulled out of the campground.
yes, it's new on the deed list.
Okay,
It was pulled out of the campground. And they left their second issue 2023, so I would assume that they probably pulled out somewhere between sometime after the summer or in the middle of the summer of 2023.
chance of ever collecting something that's not there, no. Right now, this one, I'll make a motion to waive.
They waive it and leave it, or you
Okay.
want it? Oh, you can abate it if you have it.
Reference to abate.
There's nothing on that site anymore, so there's no bills being generated.
So make a motion to abate it and just get it off the. I'll second.
It's, can you just probably do the map and lot?
Make a motion to abate what is map lot 000R17000043000225. I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next two items, 12 and 13.
Take action on it. I agree with them.
Planning board, so take action on this.
Okay. Make a motion to abate the next two.
You want to waive it for now,
Planning board's gonna take action.
And then I'll put it.
and then we'll make the next.
Yeah.
Which I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
Because we're kind of under a deadline, I thought.
So, the next two. Okay. We have to vote on those.
You waive the deed, yes.
Okay. then-
You waive the deed, but you said abate.
No.
Yeah, but you did. So that's why we were changing it to waive. So you want to
No,
waive the deed,
okay.
No.
I'll make a motion to
and then we'll deal with the taxes after the planning board does their thing.
waive the next two into the planning board takes action. All right,
Any discussion?
confused in a minute, you know?
All in favor?
All right,
Yeah,
15.
So we don't need to deal with that.
Sure.
No communication whatsoever.
no, previously to that, a couple of years that they owned it prior, they paid on time and then just stopped. So,
Second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, number 16.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Stop this on page number 17. Is land?
Yes.
yes,
Make a motion to feed on the bid. I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Number 18.
And again, we're on something that's vacant now.
yes,
Nothing yet. Make a motion to obey. It's nothing manly on me, no, just get rid of it. Obey. Oh, okay, now I'm good.
just that half and a lot, if you don't mind.
Make a motion to obey, map 000R 17 0000043 000195. I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Number 19.
Yes,
It is.
You haven't heard from them this year, Chair Nixon?
I have not so far.
He does usually respond before.
They had the last few years.
Last year as well.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Fine. Terry, is there still something on this property?
Yes,
People living in it, you know? No payment plan?
they had one when it was the 21 and paid on it, and then I haven't seen anything since.
Don't, but unfortunate thing is. You come to expect from William because. That's true. Or it's gonna cost money.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Number 21.
Something on the bottom.
Can't forget.
Like it's only 1 year.
Uh, They are still receiving tax bills, so for 24, 25. So and Jason goes out each year to make sure, well, this one's not gonna move, it's a mobile home anyway, right? Right,
That's all.
yeah,
Make a motion for waiting. This one.
Second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
you also wanted to know if there's how far back, right?
It's,
You wanted to know how far back, right?
Yeah, looks like
Let's see.
377,
That's just the,
the tax,
2023.
2023.
25, 2023. Oh, that looks like it's it, that's the most recent. Yep. Well, that's the oldest.
Can you just, do you wanna
What do I wanna do?
do due diligence on?
Oh, yeah, I want them to sign it.
Yeah, that's why I'm like,
Oh, yeah,
all of
please.
them correct, yeah.
No way.
I would probably just make sure you pull out the ones that you actually waived unless you already did that, Jess.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that.
No, hold on. Yeah, the ones that are waived are,
The one he's got, yeah. Or at least the top one,
yeah, exactly, we'll see.
at least the top one.
Well, we still gotta sign. Yeah.
Yes.
Kind of different every time, I think, there is. Did you tell you about their son? Do you tell you what is the leaders or the, not,
They're signing a form that states that they are requesting that I not issue a deed on those specific properties. If I don't have that, then if it's not paid, I'm required by law to issue a deed.
there's something.
Okay.
Actually should. Right.
Well, I could just deed them all. And then you could just deal with it after.
They could have one.
Okay.
all right, next up for old business are the bid awards. First up is the 2026 paving projects. I know that we received correspondence from 4 different residents in the Burnside Governor's Terrace area. Are there any questions from the board regarding the bid tab?
Too far into the bid tabulation. I have concerns about issuing paving contracts this year. We know that when we started looking at this building and the deficiencies that we had here, we started on a process of also looking at Colonel Town. We're coming back with some information, that indicates we're gonna have some expenses over there and, it may be a higher priority than paving this year. I think it's important. Paving is one of the items in our budget that's a little discretionary. We don't have a lot of opportunity for that. I feel like if we have maybe Rusty and Randy come into the June work session to explain to us what they have found over Town, any costs associated. I would like that.
Concern I have with that is kind of looking at two different categories of expenses. Our buildings versus our streets and roads. Streets that need to be repaid. It's no ifs, ands, or buts. So if we put that off, one of the 100% things we know, if we put this off a year or two, we're gonna add 10 or 15% each year to what's paid in income. And I agree with you, we're kind of coming to a crux where there's a lot of expenditures coming down. But not doing paving, not the good ground. Now, I will say, after reading the correspondence from Governor's Terrace, it was expenditures for extending a sidewalk and stuff. Does not appear that that even has a lot of support with the residents on that street. I can see it cutting that out and going that, make a grassy area there. It's done, it's falling apart. And I'd love to be able to sit here and say, no, let's put it off for a year or two. Some of these streets, I just don't see that ability. Don't do the contracts now. Or if not, get it done this year.
It's true for any repairs that we need at Carlton, those prices will go up, and those things haven't been addressed in many years. And, I don't want our programs, all our youth up there, and seniors that are over there to be a facility that needs some kind of significant.
Kind of a common theme, well, we prioritize, we do this, we do that. We cannot neglect every street that we put it out for. We just can't. And I would be hard pressed to take money from street paving and then put into our building. Seems kind of polar opposite things that we're looking to do. It's unfortunate stuff is getting to the top of the pile. I have no problem, no. No problem at all. Strong that these buildings need this attention. And if we have to wait a year, town has been famous for kicking the can down the road. This is my right to the top. And once we understand what's going on, I think everybody in this room would understand what we're doing. We gotta get things first. And we need money. Fix them. And it's getting in high this year. There's nothing saying that the world gets itself back into order again, that the price of oil is 95% on 95% of pavement. That would reflect in that price, and maybe say 25% next year. I know it's gamble, but I can't gamble what is going on and not turn a blind eye to it. What we need. I'm not in favor of taking this year. And I'm just on that because that's kind of been your thing, well, we're kicking the can down the road, Now we're gonna kick the can down the road on paving. Yep. Because we have other issues. That's correct. And I'm saying. I can sit here and that every day. We need to look at our building funds. To draw those funds out. And when you're going 180 degrees. How much has been approved, and the bids fell within the budget. Now, they are high, but they fell within the budget. So we have, what, 300,000? 300 plus. But this is what was approved, now we're going 180 degrees from what was approved. Now, 100%, we need to look at Colonel Town, we need to. But just all of a sudden going, well, we're not gonna pay this year because Colonel Town's got an issue. It's not just Colonel Town. Well, and this building has issues, and we all know it. We've been discussing it for the last couple of years. But just saying, we're not gonna pay because we have issues. It's not helping any. That just puts us behind on the paving. And again, like I said, Shane, you've been sitting here saying previous boards have kicked the can down the road. And one of your big pushes has been, we need to stop doing that. Yep, agree. And we have always prioritized how we spend money. Paving and buildings, two separate expenses. We need to look at our building funds. We just got some quotes on what it could possibly cost. We can't just, nope, we're not gonna do this because we get, I'm sorry, that is just the wrong path. No, I understand your view and I appreciate but the town Lancaster voters voted me to sit in this chair. Yeah. And I cannot not address what is happening. And this is how I'm going to be able to manage that problem. And I'm not saying we're not going to address it. Well, I'm just saying you're addressing it in the wrong way. Well, and that's my point. We have town that approved thing, and now we're going to go, well, okay, you approved it, but we're not gonna spend it the way that you wanted us to, we're gonna spend it the way we want to. Bad precedent to set. And it's not correct. These streets need to be paved. Don't disagree. School Street, I was first year on the board. We were gonna fix it then, put a little patch in. It was strongly today. Paving, that, do we need to take a look at the buildings? Yes. Do we need to find funding? Yes. But a lot of those issues have just been identified. And we need to work towards them. Putting on something else that's totally unrelated to building is not the proper task. That's the way I.
Can't in good conscience pay at this time, award these bids at this time with what I know about Town at this time. I know that the bidders are interested and would want to have this information. And I don't know if I would change my mind after June work session, but the analogy of kicking the can down the road, the paving, while it needs to be done, the buildings are such a big can, we can't kick it. There are issues that I'm concerned about that I don't want to impact the programs or disrupt what everyone appreciates, enjoys, and expects out of Town programming. and can't get past that level of importance over some potholes, which will not get better, I'm aware. But certainly the building will not get better if we don't say we're going to do it, just like we had to make the hard decisions here.
Said in that piece, I think you're wrong. 100% wrong. You're kicking the can down the road. We just started getting quotes on the building. We know we have issues. And we have to search out ways to address them. Not doing what else is required in town does not address the problems. We just, okay, we're gonna address one problem. And I understand, we try to walk that tightrope. To me, that's okay. Town. We don't care what you say. That's my opinion.
I think that's the wrong way to look at that.
I think it's 100% the way.
They put us here to manage the town. And unfortunately, Leon, in management, you have to take, you have to know to do something different to make the priorities higher.
The ultimate people who have authority are the taxpayers and voters of the town. And by overriding what they have voted and approved, is saying that we're overlords, not selectmen. We do what taxpayers want us to do to the best of our ability. And 100% not paving roads that need to be paved this year, kicking the can down the road. I 100% agree. We need to address issues in the building. By not addressing other issues is not solving our problem. It's putting us further behind once again.
So I have a motion on paving projects.
So the motion not today.
Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
We could talk out here, no?
Pardon?
Did we talk out here, no?
No discussion. All in favor? Aye.
Hey,
All right, the mandates.
okay, why are we discussing this?
Three people.
Any other business?
On Manhouse? Yeah. So it looked like the gentleman from Manchester was the lowest.
Yeah,
Did we reach out to him, find out if
The resetting of he reached out, back out to us and said that the resetting of the, what is it called, was included. He just didn't explicitly think that in his bids.
I was concerned about it. That's the third one.
Then the lower.
Well, when I did a bid tab, I was concerned about the out of town gentleman's labor. I feel like that is too low, and that might be why his bids come in too low, and I don't want to see a change order at any point, or there being any sort of problem that we're not aware of. That really stood out. Low, could be included in other lines in his bid, but I can't see that kind of agree with it. I do like local preference when we can.
Always prefer local over that. Well, I question how low this is. I would make a motion to grant contract with PNR excavating services to Lancaster.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Nothing?
All right, next up, select board member.
Don't you have this in place, Jess? I don't know what you guys think about this, but when in my professional, world, we had to, when we went to training, staff went to training, we had to come back with a quick little thing showing our supervisors what the training was about, what we got out of it, how we were going to implement what we learned, and most importantly, how we were going to pass it on to others. Whether it was the staff below us, whether it was across to our peers, just something to quite honestly justify the training dollars. You know, I work for a nonprofit, that's fundraising, not significantly different than taxpayer dollars. Training dollars, I care deeply about. I want staff to have professional development, but I also want to make sure that we know it's being used and being amplified and being passed through. And I don't know if that's something in place. It's not something I feel like I need to review every week, but if you think this is a reasonable way to be able to justify why we have staff for the training, and in fact, that the information is passed along, is that something we would ask Jessica to? I don't even have an idea for an implementation, but you're going to say.
Yeah.
Most of our training is done by the municipal, or Primax or
Those types of things, but some of it is knowledge sharing, so the need to report up things that might be actionable at the town level, or if there's ways to disperse that knowledge throughout the organization for other things that it might hit tangential, like if you think about emergency operations, those types of things would benefit a lot of users throughout the town. So I think it's very interesting. I know there's probably a lot of different ways to do it, some more formally, some very informally. It's also whether or not the course was actually worth the time. If these are kind of evergreen trainings through Primex or wherever, like, is this actually valuable? So take it under advisement.
And I certainly want to make sure that staff now have even staff development and training. I want to be able to, when we see a training dollar amount, say, we know what this is being used for, and it's being used to the highest investability possible. And that the most number of people are benefiting, even though only one person can attend. More like you said, it's not worth going to next year. You don't automatically go again next year.
not that, having someone report back and say, hey, I just wasted a day's time. Centering will not be together next year.
Yeah, find a different type of training, or some people need CE training, I get that, some, just thinking about Charity, like the training she had Leanne and Keely with her. Yes, which is fabulous, and how they're gonna come back and what they've learned and how they're gonna use it. That's just an example, because I know you guys like it. So, how do we make sure that's just kind of done across the board? Okay. That's all I have for time.
Next up, town manager's report. We received $184,347 from Homeland Security and Emergency Management for our 2025 FEMA damages. So we will schedule a public hearing for you. It feels good to get those dollars in.
That's 2025.
2025. So we've been paid on 2024. Now we're being paid on 2025. And whenever we finish everything up, we have a culvert to still install and the bridge over at community camp to fix up. Those are our two remaining damages. I met with Kayleen Jones from the Women of Mountains Birth Initiative. They are looking to obtain a property in Lancaster to create a hub for professionals and families to access resources, provide for community and education around all things motherhood, parenthood, and birth. They may be looking for our support for a CDBG grant application. There were 2 spruce trees planted, one in Soldiers Park and one over at Fernal Town. We want to thank Tricia for her assistance in obtaining those donations and also installing them. The Northern Forest Center submitted a Rotary grant application for a historical assessment and trails assessment over at community camp. So just seeing if we can, Greg Worth was out and did his forestry, so I'll wait on the report to hear from him. I had 2 welfare inquiries, but no applications or awards. I just want to make a note of the Lou Lever Fund, been working with a pickleball group. So the Lou Lever Fund is to fund capital improvement projects for Colonel Town facilities. It's appropriate to kind of mention, as you were just having this conversation. Their bylaws state that recommendations from the work either come from the spending committee or they've received ideas from town management, whether it be the select board or the town manager. But everything is based on needs identified and agreed upon by the spending committee and recreation director. So a pickleball group has fundraised about $18,000 towards resurfacing of the pickleball courts, but they're a little bit short. They are looking to the Lou Lever Fund for the difference, which would be no more than $5,000. I know that we are speaking about buildings at the June work session, but if you would like to schedule a public hearing for June 1st regarding these funds, I could also piggyback that with a public hearing that we need for this.
As far as refurbishing the pickleball
Yes.
thing, again, we just put off paving streets in town, which again, I think is a terrible mistake. We're not gonna spend money on a pickleball court as far as the town is concerned. Sorry, I understand it needs to be redone, but they have to understand where we're at. And with the action taken tonight, there's no way this board can support spending any funds on pickleball.
What we had heard before, if we were to accept those funds of the 18,000 and change that they fundraised.
And that was private fundraising.
Correct.
And so how would we accept that? How would that mechanism work?
Basically, it's the services that they would provide as the improvements to our.
Or would it be,
So it says that the contractor would do whatever work would design it.
so, again, I know they raised the funds, we have to, if it's over $10,000, we would have to go to accept them. But has their contract been competitively bid?
Not to my understanding.
And are they going to expect any funds from any town?
It would be, I think the expectation is from the Leader Fund, which we're the beneficiary of.
Do you know if the removal fund does prioritization and or public bidding?
They look to town management, select board, spending committee for prioritization.
What do you say? We'll have a sign. Yeah. Okay. You've been in touch with removal fund folks.
Yes, they're having their next meeting in late June. After our work session, so we can, yeah. That's it for me. Next up this evening, information, there's a ZBA notice of decision for a variance approved with conditions for 93 Rowell Road. Also a variance approved with no conditions at 153 Garland Road. There's a land use permit for 205 Elm Street. Also, 157 Elm Street, 69 Garland Road, 16 Walcott Street, and 56 Prospect. Next up this evening is public comment. Alan?
Did, we already paid for that? Did we pay the dump on Saturday?
Yes, out of the capital reserve fund.
I suppose the taxpayers gonna, I'm not gonna say I'm for or against, but how do you think the taxpayers gonna feel when the streets don't close, but the dump will stay? I think it should have been, that should have been too bad it's done. You could have knocked that off a lot easier than you could have the street. I think the work on the street, you plan yourself, the work the streets, whatever.
I got Victory has one, you're aware.
Yes, and I'm going to say right away, and it's my turn now.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't mind the 3-minute limit on public comments. However, I represent this town on federal, state, and local matters, and I'm not going to be constrained in the report. I'll make it brief. So first observations as a public person, I want to comment that the owl here seems to be cutting out an awful lot of the sound. When I look at the YouTube, things are garbled. There are segments in which, no sound gets recorded and transmitted. I just want, that's something that we could work on. Another thing is, we used to have all the department heads come once a month and report, and I don't see the police department represented here. I think this is the police department week, and I don't see Eli from Colonel Town here. I think this is his week too. And what's up with that? I mean, it's starting to be that only one or two of the department heads show up now instead of everybody. You don't have to answer me that, but I'm going to make that public observation. So brief reports. Going to the Lancaster Housing Report, which I guess has Lancaster in the name and is associated, but you don't directly supervise or whatever. But we are having a meeting next week because rules and procedures are ancient and we want to get them organized so that if we get hit by a bus, someone else can come in and do it. We also need two more commissioners on that. The town bylaw is saying we're supposed to have 5. We have 3, and we've had some quorum problems with that. So please keep it in the back of your mind, commissioners. The one that we don't have right now is we usually like to have someone who is actually a section 8 person, a recipient, to be on the committee to bring that point of view in. So if you're looking for someone, that would be something to look at. So that's the kind of the federal thing. The federal/state thing is the airport. We put down a new epoxy floor in the terminal and it looks beautiful. And the other thing that happens is in the forest, don't you know, the trees have been growing. And when they get tall in the flight path, that's a problem. So we are in negotiation pretty much successfully with the Audubon Society, which has all of the property over there, Pondicherry. And then there's some private landowners on the other side runway that are being negotiated. But that's going pretty well. We're working on that. So let's see, that's the LHA and that's the airport. As far as the River Commission is concerned, I'm still working on getting a new commissioner for us, and I'm working on getting new and put up a couple of commissioners too. One of the obstacles is that the state did not fund that commission on the New Hampshire side this year. It's happened before. We just kind of keep doing the business as best we can. You know, it's kind of like the airports weren't funded either. I don't know whether that was conscious or not, but we're still working away at it one way or the other. And in the discussion here tonight about the various pickleball and the various expenditures and stuff around Colonel Town, the spending committee is still in force as appointed and elected by the voters. But we haven't had one word about any of this. We haven't met this year. This is my second year. Your first year, you're kind of trying to keep it cool, but I haven't seen that committee work meet at all. They seem to think that they are somehow informal advisors to the department, which is not true. The spending committee has responsibility for the money that comes over. We haven't even had a vote to authorize to turn the money over to the town. There are things like that need to be worked out, and I think the spending committee is there to bear a lot of the burden on these expenses where we can get money. And this is why we were trying to get another $50,000 payout out of the trust, and the trust has so far stymied us. There are other things we can do, but maybe if the trustees are in it, it would be interesting if another 50,000 could come. Then we could do the paving in Colonel Town, and we wouldn't have to, go to the taxpayers for it. That's what the money is for. So I think those are the things I wanted to bring up. And I've already exercised my fifth report on the Emily Smith stuff more than is sufficient. So I'm glad to serve. I'm glad to hear, KJ, that you're encouraging people who work outside the town limits to bring their knowledge back in. And so that's one of the reasons I tried to give the report.
Thank you.
Well,
Or not pay mileage.
We're doing so well, Rob. Okay. Dawn,
I have a question on the realizing that paving in Colonel Town. What is the issue with Colonel Town that becomes an unsafe issue for seniors?
I didn't want to speak out of turn yet because I don't have a report in front of me. I'm just, anybody who's in there, I want to make sure is safe. We have a big summer program that we're lining up to do. So it's not seniors versus kids. It's just, I want to make sure that facilities are safe for everybody.
Well, the thing is, I guess I'm just confused. Is it an external or internal issue?
So I think we're mostly looking at the building, is what we're talking about.
So, okay, if that's the case, you don't know the cost of anything at this point.
We're just gathering.
Is that
Just-
correct?
We're gathering
Just beginning.
right now, but we've
Just
got,
beginning.
Just beginning.
we've got a rough idea.
And you had the taxpayers approve how much for paving for the streets?
300,000.
Let's remember, they did line item approve. They approved an appropriation of $9 million. The town manager administers the budget.
Right.
So we have the authority to move line items. It may not be best practice at some point, but they did not line items specifically. And the two of the three bidding projects came in significantly over what we had budgeted. And I don't know if the third, the one that came under, whether or not we would have bidded it, afforded it the way it came in anyway.
So once you receive the information cost-wise that you're asking for, if there's any dollars and cents left in good shape, can we approve that or move that towards a street that needs?
We definitely can.
I'm certainly willing to
Yeah,
consider
we
that.
definitely
yes.
can. But we need to secure on, clearly secure on, you've got to understand, paving season is from now to October. They're going to have contracts. You're not gonna go in July or August and say, hey, we found $100,000. Now we want to pave this street. That's not happening. By stopping this tonight, we will not get any paving in Lancaster this year. So sure.
I disagree with that, to be honest. I disagree with that. I believe that a paving contractor can come in here and do a certain amount of work. Not that I'm a businessman, but I'm looking at practicality and common sense.
And I'm not disagreeing with you there, but these papers do not hold out. Literally, we've had contracts with pavers all signed and sealed, and we have to wait till the next summer for them to come in and finish it because they book every available minute. If there's a little bit of rain or something, they're behind schedule. If we don't sign contracts very soon, we're not getting payment in town this year.
We'll see. I see, I'm on the fence with that, Leon. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. But I've also been in municipal government. I know how the drill goes. I have a good idea how it goes. That being said, there is a window. There is a window that will work. You just need to know what you're gonna be spending in one house, and you need to know what you have as a balance, and then you can go from there. That's my view. As a taxpayer, I'm talking as a private citizen.
Thank you, Dawn. Is there anybody else? Oh, yes. And I'm sorry, I don't know your first name.
Very, I'm talking completely out of ignorance, because I don't know how these things go. So pretend I'm a kindergartner and we're starting from day one. I'm being a devil's advocate is all. And so, I'm not saying where I stand, I'm just being devil's advocate. So what Leon was saying was that it went in front of the town and the town said that this is what they want. Is there any way you can hold a special meeting, town meeting, to let them know that this is what's going on? that not paid because this is what's wrong here with the building and this would affect this program and that program and this. And so that the taxpayers are aware of it. I don't even know if that's a possibility. Just asking.
I don't know the answer to what special town meetings are called for. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, I don't know either, but again, I'm saying, okay, the people said this, we're now bring it to the people and bring it to the people and say, this is what has come up.
It sounds
As
like,
I,
it sounds like we could have a public meeting or discuss it like a meeting here, but to have a town meeting would have to be approved by the court. Chair of that.
special town meeting.
We could certainly do that.
And it's usually to appropriate for
That's pretty much why you have one.
the,
Did you have your hand up?
I did, thank you. I just checked when I was in town when Governor Sears. I just have a question about the pickleball. I'm really glad Maureen said that she was new to this whole process because I know not as much as I'd like to about town government. That's why I'm here. I would like to know if there are better understand the conditions that need to exist in order for the town to accept the private funds portion of the possibility of getting the pickleball courts resurfaced. If, for example, we were to discard the potential use of lever funds and we were to have solely private donors step forward with money. Mr. Wright, I mentioned about, having to get 3 bids, even though it's all private money, since it's not town money. Is that a requirement? I guess I'd like to be really clear, in order to go to group, really clear on what conditions need to exist in order for us to successfully present private money to the town for the benefit of improved pickleball court conditions.
just speaking for myself, if you came to the board and said you had the money to do it, we could accept it, but I still think because once the town accepts it, municipal funds, I still think there should be 3 competitive bids. I mean, and if you put it out there and advertise it to different companies, and you only get 1 bid, then we can say, okay, you tried, you advertised it, it was a fair bid, then we can expend it. Because there is some very strict RSAs as far as us expending municipal funds.
Maggie, can I please add in? Specific finance director, Maggie.
So, charitable donations is generally what it's considered when you get private donation. After that, when that becomes town money, however, because the person has been donating it, they can say what use is for. So we would be restricted to use it for what the use has been given to use. However, at that point, it now becomes funds for us to use, so we still have to follow our procedures.
And that's something, the bids are something that we do or we charge somebody at town to do, or how does that work?
And this is like a very interesting thing, because I want to say that some instances they're like a sole provider, right? There's only so many people that will resurface a court. I'm not saying that this is necessarily the case, but there may be very limited things. My inclination would be with Leon to just put it out there and see who responds, because obviously they've already done this work with these people. They would just, we have one. Yeah. So that. One thing, the person that you guys respond, and you may get others, you only get one.
Thanks for the clarity, because I could get the information on there to other people. It helps if I have this and also a recording of it. Be able to explain. Thank you so much. Well,
Just want to comment, there are some examples, when the dam was rebuilt at Mark Meadow Pond, that was private money, was given through the Conservation Commission of the town. $300,000-400,000 was spent fixing the dam, and that was one tool. There are rules that kind of try to keep donors from running the town. And, it's like Elon Musk coming in and saying, all right, we're gonna build a pickleball court. So the 2 examples that the Little Lever Fund is not a town fund. It's a separate private fund. And
Hi, quick conversation between.
for example, the library has Friends of the Library, which is not a town endowed fund, but they can propose projects and but as it's been explained, it's the town's administration, once the money comes, it's the town's business.
Well, I thank the select board for the clarity and I'll pursue it more outside of time. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Alan,
Main Street, I see you get ready to strike the parking places on Main Street. I thought this for all winter, those alley's are one way. You can't pass on the east side, the three alleys, you can't pass cars in there. It's gotta be one way. Well, all winter, I'm thinking, how to make the win only, knock them out. And you wouldn't have to buy off two parking places on the left-hand side and coming out. You could have those parking places back because you don't need the sight distance. Now I see that 2 out of 3 are blocked off by the owners. So if they're blocked off, we shouldn't be blocking our parking places off to get sight distance for them coming out. The Democrat one is the next one. Democrat one and the next one has been blocked off sometime. The only one's open is the north one.
One thought, that was
Yeah, like I tell phone. So, you know what I'm saying, if you're blanking off parking places, you sorely need those parking places. And, if you made it one way coming out, or going in, and not bumping it. I'm just saying, I'm looking on Saturday morning and saying there's no parking in this town. Well, what, it's one, that's problem. But we could deviate some, if they're gonna shut those averages off and have them private way, then we certainly don't have to block off places for safety purposes.
Thanks for bringing it to our attention.
Just something you guys look at with,
Thank you. Just go look into it.
just get one late to, put, Tim goes painting tomorrow, we'll be done with it.
what?
Right.
Yes, Jane is right on the asphalt, it costs quite a bit of money now. I worked for the town years ago, and if we used to lay the asphalt out with a grader. If you put a high back on it, it really does a pretty good job. And load of asphalt, maybe it's $1,000, $1,200, it goes quite a ways. Then they turn around when you really want to pave it, you grind it anyways, and that makes it a mix, not really wasting. So that's an option to do. You wouldn't want to do it on Main Street, but you're doing a side road, it's not as bad, you know? So I think that's something to look at, you know? Yeah, please the public to a point and save money on top, you know?
Yeah, one more done?
I got one more.
This is the last one, okay.
Regarding the streets that, you know, that were voted on to be paved, for example, the infrastructure in those streets, what kind of shape are we looking at?
Exactly.
Other expense?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just what we're doing about all the session.
Yes, we do. This evening tonight, we'd like to enter into a non-public session 91A3 2D, consideration for the acquisition, sale, or lease of real personal property.
Do you have anything to say?
No. You voted that already discussed, no?
It was previously discussed.
Did you ask me if I was or if I would?
I don't even know. Answer either way.
I thought you were asking if I was. No.
Oh, you need to do that for us.
Hey, you